Even in Star Wars, the same thing. Replace Anakin Skywalker, replace Luke Skywalker with Rey. Oh my gosh, she's gonna have more power than Luke Skywalker with less than an hour of training with a lightsaber. This is definitely enough to overcome Sith Lords, right? Power of friendship. Hold on, let me close my window so my neighbors don't inclusive crime me. Surprisingly, that video that went really hard against the radical feminist agenda at Disney is actually getting some views today, which is really cool. And looking at what's most relevant today, or I should say what's most important, because what's most relevant in terms of just straight numbers is often defined by stupidity. I mean, if we look at the trending thing here, we see Canada, obviously communist regime. Is it worth talking about? Afghanistan, a bunch of people that are losing their brain over something that doesn't matter. We have a leftist that has been exposed for watching bestiality porn, and we have the Lakers. So this isn't really about what's relevant, this is about what's important. What's important, I think, is understanding the architecture of the enemy of humanity, that being the woke mind virus. And it's impossible to ignore when you look at every single way degenerate feminists are aligned with left-wing ideology. If you were to just look at things in a probabilistic landscape, you could ask yourself, why are all feminists on the left? And not just liberals the way liberals existed in 2005 or 2000. And it's because the threat to their ideology is critical thinking, rationality, and logic. Those are also aspects of the masculine ethos. Mechanisms that allow you to objectively understand the landscape of reality are masculine attributes. And so as they demonize masculinity, what I've recognized is they are demonizing their ability to connect with reality, to interface with reality, and tether themselves to an objective worldview. Objective meaning it is outside of them regardless of what they think or say. You see this in delusional women that clearly have no fathers. You see this in the propaganda produced by billion-dollar corporations like Disney, churning out entertainment pieces that are nothing but cancerous pieces of resentment for reality, like She-Hulk. And it doesn't even, they lose hundreds of millions of dollars with Marvel, with the Marvel's movie that's getting lambasted. They've lost hundreds of millions of dollars and are acting as though they don't care because they're serving the greater good of the utopia. Of course, that's Lenin vibes saying that we should starve 1/3 of the population in order to achieve the utopia. It's connected to the idea that there is no relationship to reality that can coexist with the left-wing ideology. By the way, the willingness to abscond with capitalist systems when these billion-dollar corporations say we are willing to lose hundreds of millions of dollars to produce propaganda is in alignment with the demonization of meritocracy that the left also operates from. So this is all the woke mind virus, and fundamentally, it's powered by resentment. It's powered by resentment for reality. I see it on some of the replies that I get to the video that I put up on X of me explaining why the Marvel movie is just feminist Marxist propaganda, people losing their minds. I think a lot of people understand, though, what's going on, because that video has thousands of views. On YouTube, it's about to break 100 views, which is great, because normally on YouTube, my videos get censored tremendously. But that's fine, because I'm just going to keep going. But the same type of delusion that you'll see here, for instance, is the exact same type of delusion that permeates all these woke degenerate feminists that say, oh my gosh, this scene in the Marvels is so epic, even though they're moving slower than a 10-year-old boy and swinging. I mean, the editing studio couldn't even save them. Disney has a multi-billion-dollar editing studio, and they still couldn't cut out these women laughing in between the takes. If you pause the action scenes, you can see them laughing and smiling. It's because to them, competence and violence and physical anger is all an act. That's why they look ridiculous. Their body movements look weak and slow, and it's just a disaster. This is why men don't find women in action scenes compelling. But I talked about that yesterday. Go check out the video I recorded on the Deadpool feminist situation. It's a good video.
Again, I'm with you.
You're not ready to date because courtship costs.
Okay.
Everything costs. Okay. You can go for 22 walks in the park. Eventually, shorty is gonna need a sip of something. She gonna be thirsty. This bottle of water is $3 in Atlanta. Let's not.
Women should not be giving dating advice. What is this?
You might only make $50,000, but you live in a shoe, and now you got expensive.
Okay, first of all, as a guy, it's very obvious, if you have any experience at all with women, that you should not ask women for advice on how to date women. You don't ask the fish on how to go fishing, you ask the fisherman. If you're a woman that wants to know how to date, I think you still shouldn't ask for advice from a woman because her advice will be emotional based and therefore incoherent. What you should do is watch the actions of the most successful woman you know. And by success, I obviously mean, is she happily married? Does she have a good family? Does she have kids that love her? And if you have a woman like that in your family, let's say your grandma, look at what she did. Whatever this is just insane. And the reason why I saw this is because Tristan Tate reposted this saying all of the women in this video are ugly, which is a good point, basically saying whatever they're doing here is a joke because they should be making themselves more feminine and attractive. And it's fine, not everyone's meant to be attractive, but these type of women think they deserve a 6'4" billionaire according to their standards. And this is because of the feminist propaganda that the woke mind virus tells these women to uphold. And because there's a demonization of masculinity on every level of our culture, in the entertainment, even in the presuppositional interactions you have with almost any woman in society. There's the unspoken understanding that if anything too masculine is voiced, whether that be in any domain, working out. And so this causes women to be delusional because, like I said before, masculinity is that apparatus that women use to interface with reality. So when they throw out that mechanism altogether, the delusion increases times 10 or 100.
Expendable cat. Or get you a bottom of the barrel bitch that's gonna date you when you have no money. If she doesn't have the expectation, and I'm gonna tell you this right now, enjoy it while it lasts.
Dude, this is the definition of a bottom of the barrel woman. Are you seeing this right here? This is what delusion is. This is the... Bro, if she had a masculine presence in her life, she would not be saying these things. This is a tiny representation of the same type of woke mind virus that causes people to think that action scenes with this woman in it are compelling. It's the same reason why woke movie studios had to destroy these characters. And not just these characters, but also every other masculine character. Destroyed Tony Stark, destroyed Thor, destroyed Captain America. I'm not going to go into that too much on YouTube. But the reason is because they have resentment for masculinity. They have such unfathomable resentment for masculinity because it represents the objective reality that judges them, that they destroy even the narratives depicting the pinnacle of those forms of masculinity. Tony Stark, billionaire genius, masculine inventor. Superman, very obvious. The Hulk, very obvious. Thor, same thing. The list goes on and on and on. Even in Star Wars, the same thing. Replace Anakin Skywalker, replace Luke Skywalker with Rey. Oh my gosh, she's gonna have more power than Luke Skywalker with less than an hour of training with the lightsaber. This is definitely enough to overcome Sith Lords, right? Power of friendship. Hold on, let me close my window so my neighbors don't inclusive crime me. Don't want to become the victim of an inclusive crime, if you know what I'm saying. The tolerant brigade might come for me. That's okay, because I stay fucking strapped, bro. But anyway, I have to cut that out of YouTube. Again, communist organization. But anyway, there's a reason why they hate all of these masculine characters. There's a reason why when they look at even this image of Superman, they get triggered. They get angry. There's a reason why they print headlines in these woke news corporations about how men that go to the gym are white supremacists. Because men in physical shape, by contrast, judge every single person that is ugly and fat and out of shape. Also, being physically strong symbolizes to women that you can change the world, that you can actually make a difference in a way that they can't, which again enrages them, which is again why they demonize masculinity. So they destroy cinematic universes like this, and replace it with ones like this. This is what degenerate feminism is, guys. You're seeing it, right? They replace, I'll go back and show you, they replace this and this with this. It is a resentment they have for objective reality that hinges on delusion, a disconnection from reality. They are, because they're mocking the apparatus called masculinity that allows them to understand the world, they are essentially reveling in their insanity. This is what insanity looks like. This is also the reason, by the way, why single mothers raise criminals, drug addicts, underperformers in school, juvenile delinquents, and the data is absolutely crystal clear to the point where no living human that is aware of data can argue with it. Women without masculine guidance create this, and then claim bigotry, claim misogyny when those movies lose hundreds of millions of dollars and underperform and everyone hates it and mocks it on Twitter. Oh, but that's not all. You know what they do next? Is then they blame Elon Musk for being a white supremacist because he allows free speech, because they can't engage with dialogue or the presuppositions of reason that allow them to realize that free speech creates truth and a better outcome. No, they don't understand any of that. Instead, what they say is that objective truth is oppressive, that free speech is oppressive, and Elon Musk is a bad person. Oh, and after that, they'll call him a loser, as they have 57 followers. But that's okay. They'll say that the genius man that is the richest person in the world, worth over $200 billion, who has created multiple industries from nothing, including the largest flying object humanity has ever produced to take humans to other planets, is a loser. Because he does what? Repost statistical analysis of their delusion. But that's okay, they'll just go back and create more scenes like this as they lose hundreds of millions of dollars. Remember, if you look at this with your eyes and think, that's a little bit degenerate, you're a bigot. Stop being a bigot. This is what the peak of cinema looks like. Of course, this is what degenerate femininity looks like, and we have to call it out because it is a symptom of the woke mind virus. One last point that I'll make before I end this video is that so Captain Marvel, or whatever her name is, and all these other female characters are incredibly unpopular because the majority of the Marvel fan base is male, and the majority of men can use logic and reason, because if they don't, they're bullied mercilessly. Okay, so that's the first point. The second point is that the tiny minority of people that celebrate characters like this, they express their solidarity not in support of who these characters are, but they support their solidarity in celebration of the defiance these characters symbolize to coherence and truth itself, because they have an antagonistic relationship with reality. Degenerate feminists, by nature, are constantly at odds with truth. They are constantly at odds with objective reality because they are radical leftists. And radical leftists, the ideology of Marx, hinges on denying all aspects of objective reality. When you see them as who they are, or challenge them in a domain of objectivity, rationality, or reason, they pretend as though they're the victims, that you're oppressing them, because they already know that their position is incoherent. They already know that, and I'm talking deep down instinctually, a lot of these people are incapable of thinking because their IQ is too low, and or their brain has been stripped of the ability to think by the woke mind virus and radical left-wing presuppositions, but they still instinctually know that they're wrong, because reality reminds them every single day of their lives that they're wrong. I use this example all the time, but a degenerate feminist who has been told in her gender studies class at college that men and women are psychologically and physically the same, when she walks outside and sees that men are on average taller than women, sees that men on average have bigger muscles than women, sees constantly that men and women have different psychological makeups, this triggers them. They're constantly reminded that they're literally wrong about everything. And so they create characters like this. When I say they, I'm talking about the radical, degenerate, insane, literally mentally unstable few that celebrate characters like this, even as they get mocked and humiliated mercilessly on the internet. And that's also the reason why all the accounts that post stuff that is pro these degenerate characters, they are all anonymous accounts, they're soy boys, and they're all women. The degenerate female psyche needs masculinity in order to interface with reality, or they end up creating characters like this and like this.